Denon's AVR-X3800H home theater receiver is a great piece to build your home theater system around. It's got tons of connections, plenty of power, it can handle 8K video, and it has some nice features for gamers. It's got built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it can decode high-res music. It works as part of a HEOS multi-room system, and it's one of our customers' favorite receivers. Let's take a closer look and see why. First, Denon gives folks who love subwoofers absolute control. The X3800H is a 9.4 receiver. That means we've got 4 subwoofer outputs. That means we can add 4 powered subs. You gotta love it. Adding more subs doesn't just make more bass, it doesn't hurt, but it helps make the bass more balanced overall. Denon even gives you 2 ways to dial in your bass when you use multiple subs. The standard subwoofer setting distributes bass evenly between the various subs. You can also choose directional, which lets you tailor each sub's output individually. It's a bass lover's dream, and it also helps you get satisfactory bass in larger, more difficult layouts. Now, the 9 in the 9.4-channel system means the X3800H can power up to 9 speakers at once. That's enough channels to set up a number of surround setups, including Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, which use height speakers for overhead effects. With 9 channels to play with, you have some options. Starting up front, 3 channels for your left, right, and center speakers. Add a pair of rear surrounds, and you've got 4 channels left for height speakers or additional surrounds. The X3800H can actually handle up to 11 channels if you're really going for it. While the receiver powers up to 9 channels on its own, you can add a separate amp for 2 more height or front channels. That frees up a couple of the main channels for adding more surrounds, and even if you don't need the ability right now, it's an option for adding to your system later on. Setup is simple no matter your configuration. When you connect to your TV the first time, the Denon Setup Assistant appears on screen to walk you through the initial setup. It'll help you make sure your connections are right and optimize critical settings for your particular setup. Denon powers the X3800H with 105 Class AB watts into 8 ohms using discrete high current transistors that make it capable of driving high quality speakers. It's 4 ohm stable too if your speakers are built that way. In addition to powering a classic surround setup, the 9 power channels can be assigned a few different ways. The key here is that you can assign a pair of your wired speakers to a second zone. You could use 7 channels of surround in your main zone, enough for the 3 front speakers, 2 rear surrounds, and 2 height or overhead speakers. Then, you can send stereo sound to a second zone using the remaining 2 channels. Maybe a pair of speakers in the kitchen or out on the porch. You can also assign a set of height channels to bi-amp your front speakers if you'd like. Or you can set up a pair of speakers in the main room that are dedicated to playing stereo music, taking advantage of the incredible sound from the X3800H. Point is, you have options. The X3800H sounds so good because of some quality internals. At the heart of it are 2 powerful digital signal processor chips and a Texas Instrument 32-bit 192 kHz digital to analog converter, or DAC. These are the little chips doing the work behind the scenes, reproducing sound and decoding it into different formats. In addition to decoding Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, the X3800H has an IMAX enhanced mode for specially encoded IMAX soundtracks. And if you don't have height speakers, virtual processing can actually simulate 3D overhead effects. But it's not all about surround sound, because this receiver makes an excellent 2-channel system too. With stereo music playing, the X3800H switches to the left and right front speakers, plus the powered sub or subs, to give you a nice, wide soundstage. The DAC delivers your music from any digital source with clarity and detail. The X3800H will let you stream over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, works with Apple AirPlay 2, and includes TuneIn Internet Radio built in. With the Denon HEOS app, you can control other streaming services like Amazon Music, Tidal, SiriusXM satellite radio, and others. Whatever music you stream, this Denon is up to the task of making it sound great over your front speakers. There are a lot of ways to connect gear to the X3800H. On the back, there are 6 HDMI 2.1 inputs and 3 HDMI 2.1 outputs, including an eARC connection that lets you control the receiver's volume with your TV remote and pass through all the digital surround sound decoding information. All of the HDMI inputs and 2 of the 3 outputs support 8K 60Hz and 4K 120Hz video and use HDCP 2.3 technology to ensure compatibility with Ultra HD sources and TVs. There are 4 digital audio inputs, 2 coaxial, 2 optical, which let you take advantage of the built-in DAC when you connect digital sources. 5 RCA analog inputs let you connect older gear, including a record player thanks to a built-in moving magnet phono preamp. A full set of preamp outputs lets you add that second amplifier to get 2 more channels, plus add up to 4 subs. The X3800H works as part of your HEOS multi-room audio system too. Perhaps best of all, you can distribute whatever's playing on the main zone to other HEOS speakers around the house. That lets you send the audio from the sources you've connected anywhere you want, whether it's listening to your turntable in another room or sending audio from the game out to the patio while you're grilling. The X3800H can supercharge your HEOS system. Gamers will appreciate some features meant to eliminate lag while playing, if your console allows. Variable refresh rate lets your TV adapt your console's frame rate to reduce or eliminate lag and frame tearing. Auto low latency kicks in when it detects a signal from a compatible system, like an Xbox One, and does even more to try and eliminate lag. And backing up those two is another feature called Quick Frame Transport, which works to reduce the latency between the GPU and the display. The goal here is a smooth, lag-free experience, so I can't keep blaming how bad I am at Rocket League on my setup. The elegant brushed metal front panel adds a 1/4-inch headphone jack, plus a USB slot for plugging in a drive full of music. 2 large knobs let you change sources and control the master volume. We love volume knobs at Crutchfield, and I appreciate that this Denon volume knob has a nice weight and feel. Right below the classic dot matrix display are some buttons for changing presets, controlling Zone 2, if you have one, plus quick source selection. Of course, Denon includes a nice remote for this, and you can use your smartphone as a Wi-Fi remote using the Denon AVR remote app. The app lets you dive in even deeper, and we found it to be especially useful on a tablet with the extra screen real estate. Denon includes Audyssey speaker calibration with the AVR-X3800H receiver, and it is a very powerful tool for getting your system sounding its best. Denon's receivers will display on-screen steps and prompts for the calibration, so make sure your TV input is set to the ARC or eARC port where you have your receiver hooked up. The first step is to make sure all the speakers and subwoofers you'll be using are in place around your room, and that they are wired up to the correct terminals in the back of your Denon receiver. If the Denon Setup Assistant doesn't open automatically when you connect your HDMI, hit the Setup button on your Denon remote and navigate down to Setup Assistant. Next, you'll want to select Speaker Setup. Continue following the menu prompts and hitting Next. The Denon will play a short melody from each speaker in your room. This process can take a minute or two, and eventually Denon will show you what speakers they were able to detect. Next, take the sound calibration microphone that comes with your receiver and attach it to the supplied stand. Make sure that the tip of the microphone is pointing up and adjust the height to ear level in your seating position. Next up is the Audyssey calibration, and you can find this under Speaker Calibration. Continue checking on-screen prompts and hitting Next until the Denon tells you to plug in the microphone to the setup mic jack on the front of the unit. Click Next, and you'll be prompted to adjust your subwoofer settings. If you're using a subwoofer with a direct mode, set it to on and disable the volume adjustment and crossover frequency setting. If you're using a subwoofer without a direct mode, set the volume knob to the 12 o'clock position, set your crossover to the highest frequency possible, and disable the low-pass filter in standby mode. It's important to make sure that the room is as quiet as possible. Even the low hum from an HVAC unit or refrigerator can impact the test or even make it fail altogether. Continue following the menu prompts and hitting Next until you get to Begin Test. Once you begin the calibration, you'll hear chirps from the speakers all around your room. This can also take a minute or two. When the first test is complete, you'll be prompted to move the microphone to the second position. Make sure this position is no more than 24 inches away from the first and is where others will be seated. Follow the prompts to run the next test. Once Audyssey has 3 positions in your room measured, you have a couple options. You can hit Complete, and the receiver will process those options, or you can move the microphone again for another calibration point where people will be seated and hit Continue. You can have up to 8 calibration points in your room. The larger the room and the more seats, the more positions you'll want to calibrate for. Keep moving the microphone and clicking Continue until all seating positions are accounted for. When you're finished with the calibration, Audyssey will analyze all that data to make sure your speakers and room sound their best. The process takes several minutes and will take longer the more positions you're calibrating for. As the analysis is taking place, you'll have the option to turn on Dynamic EQ and Dynamic Volume. Dynamic EQ is best turned on when using your receiver at a low volume, such as watching a movie at night. It will alter the balance of the speakers and their frequency response, so they sound just as good turned down as they do at like a typical reference volume. Dynamic volume will automatically keep the output volume consistent, regardless of what the input audio level is. For example, when a commercial break happens in a TV show, the audio won't suddenly get much louder. When the analysis ends, you'll be prompted to unplug the microphone from the unit. Don't forget to pack it up and save it in case you need to use it later. Now your Denon receiver has calibrated your speakers to get the best out of your room and seating position. It's time to fire up some movies or a TV show, sit back, and enjoy immersive sound, all thanks to Audyssey's calibration. You also have the option of using the Dirac Live calibration system if you prefer, though it's not included. Another customer favorite in the same price range is the Onkyo TX-RZ50. It also gives you 9 channels, but increases the power output to 120 watts per channel and costs about $100 less. It only has 2 sub outputs versus 4 on the X3800, and it has 2 HDMI outputs versus the 3 here. If the extra subs or HDMI inputs aren't necessary, or the wireless HEOS system isn't important to you, the Onkyo is worth a look. It's hard to go wrong with the Denon AVR-X3800H receiver. It's got all the connections and capability most people need, it sounds great for music, and it gives bass fanatics those 4 subwoofer outputs. If you need any help with setup or picking out the right home theater gear for you, get in touch with us here at Crutchfield.